Hey, this is Frank, the Pestgeek, and owner of Nature Pest and host of the Pestgeek podcast. And I thought I'd do a quick couple of videos that we've been, thinking about doing to answer some of the questions that people post in our videos because I think it's very important. But a lot of the time, I can't just answer it with a simple text, and I thought it was important to do a series of these and just on a frequent basis, probably once a week, answer all of your questions from a lot of our videos so that you can get straight answers. From a real professional, there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people post things on our blog that misrepresents a lot of the things or doesn't understand insect biology. And I think it's important to hear it from us. What the answers are. This one is Lavern Dowsley. She says, my aunt passed away and I accidentally brought home some roaches that must have been in her belongings. And now we've been seeing two different kinds of roaches in the kitchen. Lord knows they could be anywhere. I have a 1,700 square foot house. Should 819, I guess she's referring to the time of where I discuss it, the bait distribution focus be primarily in the kitchen. They were living everywhere in her apartment, even in her CDs. Okay, so the most important thing you need to do, Laverne, is you need to be able to inspect. Without inspection, without monitoring, you're not going to be able to determine where the roaches are. The bait should only be placed where roaches are found when we're talking about roach gel bait. And you should be doing a thorough inspection. You can find roaches walking all over the place. That doesn't mean they're breeding. The reason you focus on kitchens and bathrooms, especially the kitchen, is because there's so many places where they can hide that they're near food and water. Generally, roaches, German roaches, are going to be within 5 feet. Usually the real infestation is going to be within 5 feet of the source of water. That could be the back of the refrigerator where it's normally really heavily infested, right near the stove because it's right near, usually within 3 to 4 feet from the sink, and entirely underneath the kitchen sink. Usually the top cabinets aren't heavily infested. Usually the ones like above the stove, where you have the hood vent. So a thorough inspection, I'm going to recommend, here's another video that we have, which is our apartment roach demo. I'm going to show you this. Bear with me a second. Which is a roach demo, which is a complete video on how to actually the entire process. Here it is. I'm going to pop it up here. I'm going to make sure I silence it. But apartment roach demo, if you go in and pause this video right here tells you exactly how to perform the service completely from start to finish. In other words, how to put monitors, how to use insect growth regulator discs, how to use dust bait, how to use gel bait. Gel bait alone usually is going to, if you put it in all the right places, you will be able to control the infestation. You just have to learn to put it in all the right places. In other words, you have to do a thorough inspection. You have to be able to get in back of those cabinets, or, when you go inside, pull the drawers forward and be able to go inside that cabinet and look with a flashlight. You have to be able to pull the refrigerator. You have to be able to pull the stove if you have an electric stove. If you have a gas stove, that can get tricky because you can accidentally break the pipes and then you have a gas leak. So you need to learn that a product by itself does not necessarily control. It is the ability of the person, usually the technician, and the experience to be able to determine where the infestation is and then treat it accordingly. So just like I said, just putting it out, if she had it in the places where there were CDs, you would have to treat that if the roaches were there and the roaches are found living there. You have to learn what frass looks like. the excrement of the marks where they leave that there was an infestation there. You have to you're saying you're seeing two different types of roaches. Probably you're only seeing one. What you're seeing is that they birthed, and German roaches go through what are known as molts or instars, and there's about 5 of them, and they go through this process, and each time they grow a little bit more, they look different. The older one looks different than the younger one, and they look different than an adult. So the idea is that what's happened is the eggs have hatched, and this is why it's important to use an IGR, a thing like Point Source, which this video is the complete demo. I would suggest you watch this demo in response to your question, and in response to everybody that's looking at, because I get asked all the time, what is the best product? Which is the best product to control German roaches? We prefer Advion. We prefer Vendetta in apartment situations, in home situations. If we were talking about restaurants, it's a totally different matter. But the chances of having a resistance problem in an apartment building where you're doing a one-time service, you're not doing it every single month with the same product, because you don't apply the gel bait unless you actually have a sighting. An infestation of an area that's actually infested. Because you find one roach in the kitchen, you don't go treating the entire kitchen with gel bait for one roach. You try to use a different method. You use your monitors. You use your IGR to keep them from becoming adults or reproductive adults. That is a part of an integrated, holistic strategy of dealing with German cockroaches. Once you get rid of them, okay, once you get rid of an infestation in a house, you will not get them again unless you're reintroducing them again with something you brought in, because German roaches generally do not live outside. They can't survive outside unless there's a serious infestation in the house next door. They're not going to be moving across. I mean, we have to have tens of thousands of roaches living there in order to get that roach to come across. So I hope this answers your question in detail, and feel free to drop us more questions on our videos. We'd be glad to answer them for you. Hey, this is Frank the Pest Geek, wishing you a pestacular day.